we're taking a look at the state of the world's women. And in 2013, or actually in 2012, a survey was done by Save the Children, and they did this in alliance with a number of organizations, I want to believe, and there was an assessment of state of the world's mothers. Now, we want to talk about this because it came with a ranking, and that ranking meant that there is 176 countries that were surveyed, and out of those 176, you will see a number of things that show you how we rank in Nigeria, which is our major concern, and we are in the bottom 10. But,
oh dear.
But in looking at this, what gladdened my heart was, it's not like I'm being cynical or I'm being bad about this, but to find that the United States of America is actually not topping it, and it's not in the top 10, not in the top 20, it makes me feel like, for once, it looks like this is fair. But I have nothing against the United States of America. But to discuss this with us, we have on my right-hand side Dr. Abimbola William, who's Senior Maternal and Newborn Health Manager with the Save the Children International. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
Great. And on the other side is Dr. Jide Idris, who's Commissioner for Health in Lagos State. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
All right. We'll start with you, Dr. Abimbola William. Let's look at this state of the world's mother for 2013. What were the criteria? Because the first thing people will be saying, Nigeria is in the bottom 10. What was the judging? What were the criteria for ranking this time?
Okay, maybe the first thing I should say is let you know what Save the Children is all about. Save the Children is a leading organization for children in need. We work in over 120 countries. We inspire breakthroughs in the way the world treats children and mothers, and achieving immediate and long-lasting impacts for them through improvements in health, education, and their economic situations. Save the Children every year publishes a report that we call State of the World Mothers, in honor to mothers across the globe. Every year we choose a theme. This year we decided to look at issues around the birth of the baby, what happens to the mother and the baby during that day. And in line with that, we have developed an index that we call birthday index, which looks at the risks that mothers and babies face as the mother gives birth to the baby. And we have ranked countries, actually 186 of them, using data that are available from those countries to identify countries where mothers are at most risk during the time of birth, and babies as well, and also to look at countries that are doing very well. The report shows that Finland is doing the best. It's actually the top of the 10 best in the world. You mentioned Nigeria. Nigeria is in the last 10 rung of those who are not doing well. But by and large, what we've also discovered with data available is the fact that there has been tremendous and significant change in the situation of mothers and babies across the world beginning from 1990, because that's when the MDG dates back to. There's been tremendous change. The world has reduced maternal mortality by half, reduced under 5 mortality by almost half too, from 12 million in 1990s to about 6.5 million now.
You said the world has reduced by 50%.
Yes.
How has Nigeria done?
Nigeria has also made some significant changes, I must say. Maternal mortality ratio has reduced from 1,000 per 100,000 live births to what we have now, 545 per 1,000 live births.
Are these happening in pockets of areas in the country?
Those are the national figures. We know, and we have evidence to show that in some pockets, in some states, the situations are not like this. There's a lot of variations. In certain regions in the country, the ratios that we have may be twice what the national ratio is, which means that some other regions are doing very well. But because those other regions are doing very poorly, they're bringing the data and the picture that Nigeria puts across to the world down.
This is in spite of the fact that some study says that Nigeria is still the worst place to be born.
Oh, yeah?
That the rate at which babies die at birth is still very high in Nigeria. Oh, yeah. Dr. Idris?
Well, I read the report myself, and I was even actually at the launch. These are things we realized too, and that's why, I mean, with us in Lagos State, we don't dwell on the negatives again. We know the challenges. The best way is to find ways, look for strategies to address those challenges. The fact is that the figures are bad. They're not the figures we accept. And rather than crying over spilled milk or complaining, let us put some things in place to reduce those figures. And that's what we've done in Lagos State. Coincidentally, I mean, when this magazine was launched, I mean, the report was launched, coincided with just 2 days before we decided to have our own State Council on Health. And we addressed a major theme and 2 sub-themes, which also have bearing on this particular topic. We address the issue of universal access to health for everybody. The fact is that if you want to make any progress in the health sector, everybody must have access to healthcare. And the 2 sub-themes that actually are very germane to this universal access has to do with the issue of financing the health sector. And of course, the other bit was the maternal and child mortality, which is the main topic you are addressing here today. And the essence, the reason is that we consider those as very, very genuine, very, very serious issues that any right-thinking government should address. And that's why, and we have a strategy at the state government, but what we wanted to do again was to get stakeholders' input. And that's what we call virtually all the stakeholders in the health sector. Not only public sector now, private sector, industries, the academia and all. To look at what we have, see if we're in the right direction, or if we need to amend, or there are areas we are not even thinking about that they have, I mean, recourse to. That's basically, and like when I was here before, what I told you, all the strategies we've had outlined, ranging from issue of infrastructure, human resource issues, financing, primary healthcare issue, which are the main things that the recommendations made, actually coincidentally the recommendations made in this report, where, I mean, that we're addressing. Issue of girl-child education, family planning, breastfeeding. I mean, our programs are tailored to address the continuum of care, pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy, and post-pregnancy, and even at early childhood. So these are the things that, those are majorly the recommendations from that report. And I think we're on the right path.
So, Dr. William, if we're to look again, the top 5 issues that really have a strong bearing on this ranking, can you name them again, and let us then begin to ask someone like Dr. Idris, what are we doing in Nigeria in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues to address it and to make sure that over the next 12 months, Nigeria can actually be said to be moving up on the ladder?
Right. Save the Children looked at several indicators. The first is about the woman's health herself. You know, issues around birth, have, you know, spacing of childbirth, family planning, and all the issues around her health. We also took a look at child health, because we know the close linkage between the mother and her child, and we looked at everything that surrounds under 5 mortality. We also looked at the education attainment for women, because studies have shown that the higher educational level the woman attains, the better it is for the survival of her children, because then she knows what to do. She has the capacity to take decisions for herself and for her children. We looked at her economical status, and finally we looked at her participation in politics. Because if more women are in politics and they are in parliament, it is more likely that the women will take decisions or advocate for decisions that will look after women.
Their own interest. Yes.
I tell you.
Yes, yes. Now, the issue of childbirth, you think about it sometimes and you wonder, do the women have access to decent enough maternity homes? Because sometimes the baby dies or the mother dies as a result of the kind of facility that's available to them at the time of maternity.
No, that is actually why that's one of our recommendations. We're recommending that government put in additional funds, invest more in ensuring that women have more access to quality health services, women and their babies. And we're talking about all women. We shouldn't limit this to women in the urban areas alone. And I'm happy that Lagos State is taking that as a key area to focus on, making access universal, making sure that the woman across the water, women in the far north, women everywhere in Nigeria have access. That will remove barriers to access. And we don't want to go into what access really means, because access can be financial, can be geographical, access can be socio-cultural. We need to remove all the barriers that limits the woman's access to quality health care.
Are the traditional birth attendants really trained enough, Dr. Idris?
Well, let me put it this way. It's a cultural issue because our people have been used to them for over a long period of time. So if you look at the health sector as a system, they're part of that system.
Okay.
Now, if the people do not have anywhere else to go to, that's the only place to go to. So the essence is that one, if you find that what those people practice is not optimum, our responsibility as a government is that we need to beef up, raise their capability to address, to perform their issues very well in the right manner. That is what we are doing as a state government. We can't do away with them now because they're still a part and parcel of that system. The only way that we can modify their behavior, in quote, so that we increase their capacity to address, to carry out these services to the people in the best way possible.
That's so the state is training them?
Yeah, well, we get them in batches. We get them trained for a couple of weeks, attach them to some hospitals to teach them how to take care of these pregnancy-related issues in the best possible way. And, of course, give them incentives to provide them with some of the kits to even use for training. Apart from that, we also use our College of Health Technology to carry out that training. And we're doing this in conjunction with the Board of Traditional Medicine to link them together. Of course, with respect to regulation, I mean, they all have to register so that they know how best to where they're located, what they're doing. I mean, it's going to be a long-term thing because you can't change behavior overnight. But again, it's something we can do gradually.
How far gone are you with that process then?
I mean, if you recollect, sometime last year, I mean, about 300 of them graduated.
300?
About 300 of them graduated last year.
And these are traditional
birth attendants.
I mean,
they call themselves doctors as well.
They're TBAs.
They're medical practitioners.
Okay.
But they're done in batches, and I think more as we go along, now we are telling them to some hospital nearest to where they practice. So, for instance, in Ibejuleki, the general hospital there, at least there's a process there where they go to regularly. They go to Island Maternity, and as we go, we'll increase the number.
Okay, let's come to Dr. William then. In terms of, you mentioned that the first thing you look at is the woman in herself that you look at. And to become a woman, you have to be a girl child.
Right.
And the girl child, through education, through exposure, through interaction and orientation that is created within the family environment, within the culture and so on, evolve into becoming the woman.
Right.
That process, what is it you see in Nigeria now in terms of moving us in a way that means the direction of the woman in terms of her ranking as a person is one that can match the rest of the world?
Well, I'm not sure Nigeria can match the rest of the world yet.
Well, we can move
But
close.
we've started, we've started moving. We just need to move faster. We need to accelerate whatever it is we're doing with girl child education. We have to look at to reach more mothers, more girls rather. And we have to implement what we call the continuum of care. care should not start for the mother at the time of birth. Care should start from when the baby is born, throughout the child's life, teenage life, pre-pregnancy, making sure that everything is okay with her. Her nutritional status is also okay. All of this will culminate in a woman that is ready to deliver a live and healthy baby. But in addition to that, we must ensure that the services are available. And they are not just services, they are quality services that are sustainable.
Are the services available?
They are available, but the quality at times may be questionable. And I think this is one of the reasons why the commissioner has set himself a target to ensure that quality services reach all mothers and their children.
But when you move over, let's leave Lagos out of this now, because Lagos is, from what some people have said, it's a country in itself because of the size and the number of people, the
But
population.
we have also been told that Lagos is the pace setter.
It is also the pace setter.
So Lagos
even in the medical area that we're complaining about.
Yes. So if we leave Lagos out, if we want to look at the rest of the country then, how are we doing? What are we doing? Are we doing anything? Because governors and commissioners for health across the nation, they're watching this program now, and we need to begin to address them and say, you need to pull your socks or tighten your belt to do something.
Wake up.
I really, from my perspective, and I want to say I'm speaking for Save the Children, the commitment is not enough. We're not committing enough. We're not investing in women. We're not investing in health. We're not committing enough resources to improve the health of our nation. Really, we're not. So we're asking that additional resources be put into health, especially